You know what they say, happy wife, happy life. And one of the things that keeps Pam happy as we travel on the road is good, fast, reliable, cost-effective internet. We didn't have that the first year, so we decided in the summer of 2022, let's give another option a chance. And we've been trying it and testing it, and we like it a lot, and we'd like to tell you about it. Quite frankly, we think it rocks. Whew, I'm sorry about that. That was some rockin' music. I got a little carried away there. So let's get back on track. You know, it wasn't that long ago that RVers had just few choices relative to RV internet, whether it was tethering on their phone, whether it was a hotspot, whether it was a satellite system. You know, each one of those really didn't offer very effective bandwidth, had sort of clunky plans to work with, and just weren't very effective and, quite frankly, a little bit cumbersome. Along came things like 4G and then 4G hotspots and the WineGuard, 4G gateway router on top of the roof. And then things like PepWave routers. And then, of course, you have Starlink. And each one of those have their own sort of use cases. And then 5G, of course, is out there as well for a hotspot. But recently, and as you can see in the video, we chose to add the T-Mobile home internet router as part of our systems, in addition to the 4G AT&T gateway that we have with WineGuard. And we want to kind of detail the differences with those, what we like about it, and just kind of give you some intrinsic data as to what the experience was. So we hope you like that. And I probably should have shaved before this video. So let's take a step back and tell you what we were using. Like many RVs, our Alliance came with a WineGuard 360 antenna on the roof. And that antenna does three things. It's a Wi-Fi booster for when you happen to be in a campground and want to use their Wi-Fi, which we all know that doesn't work very well. It's also an over-the-air TV booster, which quite frankly works very well. It also allows you, at least in our time, to connect a 4G gateway, which is a Wi-Fi internal to a 4G cellular gateway. And so we did purchase that. It was $240 at the time, and the SIM card was free, and we had a pretty good service with AT&T. I've been an AT&T customer since I carried one of these phones up here, so needless to say, a very, very long time. And we had a grandfathered data plan in, which was truly unlimited and, quite frankly, very cost-effective. But 4G just really wasn't cutting it for us. And the WineGuard gateway, quite frankly, was also very unreliable. We had to reboot that thing several times a week, sometimes several times a day, depending upon where we were. Contacted WineGuard, just could never really get a resolution to that. So that's why we made a change. Now, I do understand that WineGuard has a 5G offering today. However, it's pretty cost prohibitive from what I can see. Based on the WineGuard website, you would have to replace the antenna with a 5G antenna as well, and that's $200 less price. And then the 5G gateway, according to their website, is it's $999, $1,000 basically. I think that's, just outlandish, quite frankly, based on what you can get as a different offering. So, we definitely want to show you what that is. So we knew we had to either make a change or make some additive components to our system. And so, of course, everybody looks at Starlink, and we looked at Starlink as well. And I think the thing that, was attractive to it was just the speed and, its universal ability to connect to the satellite. The downside for us really was just the cost of entry to get into it, the monthly cost, and the fact that we actually like to camp in the trees whenever we can. So that was not going to be a really good option for us. Along that time, we started researching this home internet aspect with 5G, and of course, the cellular carriers are trying to compete with the cable providers and the optical providers to give you good bandwidth, usable bandwidth, and very easy to use. And so we started researching that. Now, the key element is that it's called home internet, and we thought, well, our home moves, right? So what are we going to do with that? And so T-Mobile was actually pretty smart about that, and they do let you roam with this, and it's truly unlimited, and it's very, very cost effective. If you look at the 5G technology itself, I mean, the theoretical speeds, and I'll put a graph up here, are much, much better than 4G and certainly much better than 3G. And in fact, compete very nicely with, with things like Starlink. In fact, the theoretical speed is even better than things like Starlink. Now, you'll never see that, but some of the bandwidth and the download speeds that we've seen have been very, very good. If you look at this particular chart up here, this will show you the speeds that the carriers actually talk about in terms of what's capable with these home internet services. So as we talk about this technology, we should clear up what may be confusing to some people. 5G cellular is totally different than what you might see on a Wi-Fi router as 5G. 5G cellular basically stands for fifth generation. 5G in a router stands for the actual band of frequencies it uses in those channels. And so when you get onto a Wi-Fi router, you may see you have a 2.4 gig option and a 5 gig option. Those are totally different things that we're talking about here. So let's talk about costs. We're going to show four different options here, and that is two that we have, which are the 4G WineGuard, the 5G home internet. We're going to talk about Nomad internet, and we're going to talk about Starlink. And so let's talk about the most expensive first. So Starlink is a one-time equipment charge of $599. It's now a monthly rate of $150. That recently went up from $135. Good option if you do a lot of boondocking, good option if you're out, away from, heavy cellular areas. I know there's some other caveats with that. So we've seen videos on those where that's their primary internet and somewhere it's basically their backup internet. So definitely an option to consider, just a little bit more expensive to get into. Nomad Air is relatively new to this space, and it's quite ingenious in terms of what they're doing. So they offer several different modems and several different plans. And from what we can see, the plan that would most likely resemble the plan for RVers would be $129 a month. And then you've got two options in terms of modems. One is the Nomad Cube or the Nomad Air. I haven't really researched in detail the difference in the two, but one is $199. That's the Cube one-time charge, and the Air is $299. So again, you do have some charges up front. As discussed earlier, we actually started using the 4G WineGuard gateway, and so that was effective for us, cost effective for us initially, but there was an upfront charge of $249, I believe it was, and then the $20 a month with AT&T. So we get a really good rate for AT&T just because we've been AT&T customers for so long and we've been grandfathered in. It is truly unlimited. If I decide to ever, change carriers on our phones, then we will lose that particular plan, and we'll have to go to a traditional plan, which is, limited in bandwidth and throttle. But right now, very effective. So $249 to start, like I said, and then $20 a month, and the SIM card was free. And that brings us to the T-Mobile home internet service and what we've done with that. So this is really intriguing because we've never been T-Mobile customers, always been AT&T customers for our cellular. And what we liked about the T-Mobile home internet service, one is you can roam, and that's great. I mean, that's been awesome. You just have to have an address that you can use as a billing address that is in T-Mobile service area. That's the only caveat so far with that. But we're paying $50 a month, unlimited, and that's a direct bill, and that is awesome. There is no equipment charge at all, and there's no contract at all. So we could bring this router back at any time and just be done with that, and obviously just fulfill whatever month we're in at that point in terms of that. What's really cool is that if we become T-Mobile customers on cellular, and there may be some consideration to do that based on their costs as well, is that your monthly home internet service charge goes down to $30 a month. That's amazing. That's really, really cool. And we've had just really, really good success with that. We've seen some other videos that people have had it, and maybe they haven't had as great success. I will tell you there was only one place that we've been in our travel since we got this in the summer of last year, and that's from Montana back down to Wyoming, over to Colorado, over to Utah, back to Texas. We're in Florida now. There's only been one place, and I think that was somewhere in a remote area of Montana where we didn't have any T-Mobile coverage, but we did have the 4G AT&T coverage, and that was pretty bad, not just because of 4G, it was bad because we were way far away from any cellular coverage. So all in all, we've been very happy with it. I think like anything else, there's lots of good choices for RVers today, and every situation is going to be different on what you need to do, what you want to do, where you're going to go, how you camp, how you travel. But so far, we really like ours, and yeah, we're going to stick with it for now, and we'll continue to research other options certainly, but we like what it is. So. If you have any comments about your experience with it or your experience with any of these other carriers, we'd certainly appreciate that feedback. And we don't claim to know everything on this, but it's been a good experience for us. Hope this has been a good video for you. And as usual, if you like what we do here, we'd love for you to subscribe, follow our journey along, give us a like on the video, hit that bell so you can be notified of new videos coming out, and share this with your friends. We'd certainly appreciate that. We love what we do, so certainly appreciate your support, and look forward to you on the next video. Yeah, I probably should take care of that. You know what they say, happy wife, happy life.